time is 6:15. Here's the news, edited by Dulmin Samarasingha, read by Victor Raj. First, take a look at the headlines of the local news. Sri Lanka temporarily suspends bringing down passengers from England. The President points out the need to bring down COVID vaccine soon. The Central Expressway from Medigama to Potuhera will be opened before the end of March next year. National Mental Health Policy approved from the year 2020 through 2030. World News. Britain, stuck in COVID-19 isolation, strives to lift France's freight ban. Sports News. Rugby. England, Wales and Scotland combine for GB7's team in 2021. Local news in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has decided to temporarily suspend bringing down passengers from England to Sri Lanka. The decision has been taken during the daily COVID committee meeting at the Presidential Secretariat today. The passengers who are expected to arrive in the country today from England will be subjected to PCR tests. Thereafter, they will be sent for quarantine for 14 days at hotels and after that another 14 days in their homes. The crews of the aircraft from London will also be subject to quarantine. The President pointed out that need to bring down COVID vaccines soon. Several countries, including the US, the UK and China, have produced COVID vaccines. President's Chief Advisor Lalit Veeratunga was empowered to further study the vaccines and to hold discussions with local and foreign health officials. Thereafter, he was entrusted with the responsibility of taking measures to coordinate to bring down the vaccine. The groups to be given the vaccine will be decided on the necessity and priority. It was decided that the decision to gather data on the high-risk groups prone to the spread of virus. Minister Johnston Fernandez says the second phase of the Central Expressway from Medigama to Potuhera will be opened before 31st of March next year. The 40-kilometer stretch has been given to local contractors for 137 billion rupees. The minister said that 15 contractors have been given the road stretch by dividing it to 4 sections. Meanwhile, Minister Keheli Rambukwala said that unmethodical constructions during the time of the previous government have delayed constructing the Central Expressway. He was speaking during the cabinet media briefing in Colombo today. The Cabinet of Ministers has approved the proposal submitted by Minister of Health Pavitra Vanyarachi for implementing the National Mental Health Policy from the year 2020 through 2030. A mental health policy formulates the strategic framework for the prevention of mental illness, healing, rehabilitation and mental health promotion. Mental health policy for 2020 to 2030 period is under the major sectors of strengthening leadership and research activities, provisions of extending mental health services, human resources development and empowering the community. Co-Cabinet spokesman Dr. Ramesh Patirana said government had approved the proposal to waive off landing and parking fee for the period for 26th December to 19th November 2021. Addressing the weekly cabinet briefing at the Information Department, he said the decision was taken to encourage the international airlines to operate flights to Sri Lanka. He said measures have been taken to open the airports in the country from 26th December to 19th January 2021 as per the health recommendations. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
HDFC Smart Goals. All it takes is 3 years.
Continuing with more local news. The European Union has agreed upon a grant of 18 million euros for the implementation of a project named Project to assist the legislature of Sri Lanka. This is with the objective of the establishment of an improved responsive justice administration system within Sri Lanka. The project will be implemented by the Ministry of Justice, while the total estimated cost will be 19.27 million euros. The wife of suicide bomber Jamil Mohammed, who exploded a bomb at a guest house in Dehiwala on Easter Sunday, testified today for the first time before the Presidential Commission to inquire into the Easter Sunday attack. She was brought to the Commission this morning by Bogambara prison officials. She gave evidence over Skype from the police unit of the Commission. It was not open to media. Meanwhile, the official term of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry appointed to probe the Easter Sunday terror attacks has been extended until 31st January 2021. Anuradhapura Director of Irrigation Kitsiri Veligapolo says that the Rajangana and Yanwai reservoirs have exceeded their maximum water capacity due to heavy rains. Two sluice gates of Rajangana reservoir have been opened by 1 foot each. One sluice gate of Yanwai reservoir has also been opened by 1 foot. It said that water capacity of mid-sized tanks is increasing. Time restrictions will not be an issue to produce a sound artwork or writing, said the Defence Secretary Kamal Gunaratne, while citing an example from his eventful diary and number of books published to date. He said the role of an artist or an author is to foster a better society through research-based, visionary and resourceful artistic piece of writing. Major General Gunaratne expressed these views during a ceremony organized to felicitate the contemporary novelist and authors at the Colombo District Secretariat Auditorium today. He said he paid his gratitude to Colombo District Government Agent Pradeep Yasaratna and his staff for organizing an event to extend appreciation to contemporary authors who have gone unnoticed in the recent past. The corporate and strategic level exams of the Institute of Chartered Accounts of Sri Lanka were held online for the first time in the institute's 60-year-long history. Over 1,900 aspirant chartered accountants sat for the corporate and strategic level exams, which were held this month. Institute of Chartered Accounts of Sri Lanka organized the online exams as an alternative to the traditional physical exams, which had to be cancelled due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and the related health regulations. President of Institute of Chartered Accounts of Sri Lanka, Manil Jayasinghe, said that the CA Sri Lanka firmly believes in remaining contemporary and adapting with time and technology. He said offering online exams for the convenience of their students was in the pipeline, but COVID-19 fast-tracked its execution. That ends local news.
Darling, our daughter has top O-level results. Do you know what this means?
Yes, just 3 years and she'll be going abroad for her degree.
For which we'll need a bank loan.
But is a normal loan the smartest option?
What else?
The smartest way is to start an HDFC Smart Goals account.
Let your child begin their degree with no delays. Start an HDFC Smart Goals account. Call 2356 888.
Honey, you're so smart.
HDFC Smart Goals. All it takes is 3 years.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
The Minister of Health says that another 618 COVID-19 patients have recovered and discharged from hospitals within the last 24 hours. This brings the total number of COVID-19 recoveries in the country to 29,300. A total of 37,631 cases of coronavirus have been reported in Sri Lanka so far, while 8,150 of them are currently under medical care. Sri Lanka also recorded 181 fatalities from the virus. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
Moving on to Watchlight, the head of the National Operations Center for Prevention of COVID-19 outbreak, Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva says a decision has not yet been taken on whether or not to impose a quarantine curfew during the festive season. Addressing the media this morning, the Army commander said that they do not intend to impose a quarantine curfew or unnecessarily isolate areas that are not currently isolated. Speaking on the new variant of the COVID-19 virus, the Lieutenant General said that further action in this regard will be taken by the Director General of Health Services and the health sector after analyzing the situation. That ends Watchlight. Moving on to world news, let's take a look at the headlines. Britain, stuck in COVID-19 isolation, strives to lift France's freight ban. Sydney COVID infections drop amid record testing for outbreak. Kremlin says new US sanctions are hostile act by outgoing Trump administration. World news in detail. The United Kingdom has stuck in COVID-19 isolation today after much of the world cut off travel ties due to a heavily infectious new coronavirus strain, halting one of Europe's most important trade routes just days before the Brexit cliff edge. With queues of trucks snaking to the horizon in England and supermarket shelves stripped just days before Christmas, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson scrambled to get French President Emmanuel Macron to lift a ban on freight from Britain. Sydney has recorded its fewest number of new coronavirus cases in several days, raising hopes the Australian city may contain a recent outbreak. The city has seen 19 infections since the outbreak was detected in its northern beach region last week. Today, authorities praised the record 14,000 people for turning out to get tested in the previous day. The nation is currently seeing almost no new cases outside Sydney. The Kremlin said today that the new round of US sanctions against Russia marked another hostile act by the outgoing administration of the President Donald Trump and would further harm already poor ties between Moscow and Washington. The Trump administration yesterday published a list of Chinese and Russian companies with alleged military ties that restrict them from buying a wide range of US goods and technology. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Britain, stuck in COVID-19 isolation, strives to lift France's freight ban. Sydney COVID infections drop amid record testing for outbreak. Kremlin says new US sanctions are hostile act by outgoing Trump administration. That came to you in world news. Let's take a look at the development news. Tourism Minister Prasanna Ranatanga said Mattala Rajapaksa International Airport would be developed as a hub for cargo import and export service in addition to developing it as a foreign tourist destination. He said that a special attention had been paid to this when making Mattala Rajapaksa International Airport as an active airport. Minister Ranatanga said that it has been decided to open both the Katunaik and Mattala airports for tourists. Accordingly, the number of passengers operations carried out at the MRIA from January to November this year was 15,039. The minister said a total of 396 aircraft have touched down at the MRIA and the total volume of the cargo handled was 83,654 kilograms. That came to you on Development News. Let's take a look at this sports news. Rugby. England, Scotland and Wales will unite to field a combined GB Sevens team for the 2021 season ahead of the Olympics in Tokyo. The Rugby Football Union, Scottish Rugby Union and Wales Rugby Union have secured funding from a commercial partnership with the National Lottery. The men's and women's GB Sevens teams will compete in the HSBC World Sevens Series in the build-up to and after next summer's Olympics in Japan. Tennis news. Teenager Jack Draper gained a shock win over Cameron Norrie on the second day of the Battle of the Brits and Rampton. Draper, aged 18, ranked 303rd in the world, triumphed 7-6, 7-5, 7-6, 7-4 against world number 71 Norrie at the National Tennis Centre. British number 1 Dan Evans bounced back from Sydney's loss to Andy Murray by beating Jan Koinski 7-5, 6-0. The third T20 International of the Pakistan Tour of New Zealand was played today in Napier. Pakistan won the match by 4 wickets. Batting first, New Zealand scored 173 for 7 wickets in 20 overs. Pakistan achieved the target by scoring 177 for 6 wickets in 19.4 overs. That ends sports news. Let's take a look at this business news. Vidulka further strengthened its contribution to a greener, cleaner future for Sri Lanka recently by commissioning its very first rooftop solar project with Diamond Cutters Limited. The project has utilized the roof area of Diamond Cutters Limited's factory premises, located in the Panadura industrial zone. The commissioned project will contribute 0.7 gigawatts of energy to the local grid. This solar power project is aimed at annual saving 495 metric tons of carbon through clean energy power generation. That ends business news.
Economic news, courtesy of
Just move on real time, save more, LOLC real time. Paying the premium for transactions, simply save now real time. Day night, no trouble for your transactions. LOLC real time. Download LOLC Finance real time app for your LOLC savings account. Attractive interest rates, transactions anytime, anywhere with a zero cost and more benefits.
Commercial paper issuance have continued to pick up, indicating that the short-term money market instruments is regaining its popularity. According to latest data available up to October, cumulative commercial paper issues were recorded 4.0 billion rupees in the first 10 months, up from 3.6 billion rupees in September and 3.4 billion rupees by end 2019. For the first time, the cumulative monies raised through the not-so-popular financial instrument eclipsed the entirety of the monies raised during 2019. That ends economic news.
Congratulations on your promotion. It will be our treat, huh?
How about today?
Oh no, I was just joking.
It's fine. I have my LOLC credit card with me. Let's go out today.
Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Finally, let's take a look at the weather report. The Met Department says prevailing showery condition is expected to continue further over northern and eastern parts of the country. Showers will occur at times in northern, eastern, north central, central and Ubud provinces and in Hambantota district. Heavy falls above 100 mm can be expected at some places in eastern and Ubud provinces and in Polonnaruwa, Mathale and Nuwara districts. Showers or thundershowers will occur elsewhere and heavy falls above 100 mm can be expected at some places. That ends weather report. To bring to an end this evening news broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Sri Lanka temporarily suspends bringing down passengers from England. The President points out the need to bring down COVID vaccines soon. The Central Expressway from Mirigama to Potuhera will be opened before the end of March next year. National Mental Health Policy approved from the year 2020 through 2030. Foreign news, Britain, stuck in COVID-19 isolation, strives to lift France's freight ban. Sports news, rugby. England, Wales and Scotland combine for GB7's team in 2021. That ends the evening news broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka. Back to my good friend and yours, Sabrina Zawahir.